This is an instructional video on how to go about taking the parenting style assessment test. In the resource section of the course, you should find the workbook along with the parenting style assessment test, and if you haven't downloaded it, go ahead and do so, and then check back with me and start this video up again so you can follow along and I can show you exactly how to take this test. If you have a Mac computer and you have access to the numbers program, which is equivalent to Excel, but for Mac, this testing thing will go by much smoother, much easier, and you won't even need a calculator. Basically, the question that we're trying to find out with this test is, what type of parenting style are we? Alright, so there's 24 questions. It'll take you about a half hour to complete the test. I want you to look at each question, read it. Don't spend too much time pondering over each question. Just whatever comes to your mind most quickly, that's what I want you to go ahead and score as an answer. And we can go ahead and just do number one. And the way we're going to do this is you're going to rate each of these questions from a scale of 1 to 5. All right? 1 basically means that you never or rarely do these things or feel this way, whatever the question is. For example, I am responsive to my child's feelings and needs. If you never to rarely do that, then you would give it a 1. I have a scale here. If you like percentages, I do it 10% of the time or all the way down to 0. All right, so maybe you do it once in a while. You're not doing it that often. You may score it as a 1. But you may score it sometimes. Sometimes is far less than half the time, but it's not close to rarely or never. And I give you again a range here, 11% to 35%. So basically, 1 out of 3 times or 1 out of 4 times you're being responsive to your child's feelings and needs, then you would give it a 2. All right, a 3 would be basically, you can say about half the time. All right, that would be a 3. Now, if you do this often, put a number 4 to that answer. And then, of course, if you're really on top of it and you almost never ever forget to be responsive to your child's feelings and needs, you would put a 5. You would go ahead and answer just like that for each question. And as you answer it, I provided some answer sheets for you. And if you have a Mac computer, you can go ahead and just download this and actually just go ahead and stick your answer right in here. And I'll show you, let's say I'm a 5 on this one. And I put my answer in there, and boom, as you can see, some magic starts to happen on the right-hand side, and these columns start to fill in with numbers. You may have already noticed that the ones that have gray areas have 6s already in them. And that's basically just so that the formula that is within each of these little squares will do its thing. So I have to put a preset number there. It's going to subtract the number that you give as an answer and then come up with its final displayed number in its box. Okay? And I've gone ahead and done the entire course over here to the right. You see, I've answered all the questions the way I think best represents me. And the computer has done its thing, or the program has done its thing and filled in all these extra numbers for me. And then it tallied it up and it magically came up with an average for me. Now, let's say you don't have a Mac computer. You don't have access to the numbers program. Okay, well, you got a little bit more work in front of you, but here's how it will go. You can print out a copy of this, print it out, keep it look at just like this, and write your answers over here on the right-hand side. Okay, or just sheet of paper, 1 to 24, and just use this sort of as a guideline on what you need to do. But you'll have to make some columns here for the A, C, H, P, and U. These are the first letter of each of the type of parenting styles we're looking at. Okay, so whatever you fill in here, you're going to have to move over to the white spaces. Okay, so if you, as you can see here, my answer was 4. You would fill in 4s everywhere on that same row that you answered here. If it's a white, you would also fill it in with the answer. So my answer is 4. In the white spaces, you put 4. In the gray spaces, you're going to subtract 4 from 6, which 6 minus 4 is 2, so you would put 2 in the gray areas. Okay, and you would have to do that all the way down. And if there's a black space, you don't have to do anything. Okay, black space basically means that the question is irrelevant to that particular parenting style. Okay, once you've finished it up, you would tally. So you can see I've got a tally space for you on the manual form. So you just add this all up, get your calculator out, add it all up, and then you're going to divide by this number. And I've already provided the number for you, so you don't have to count up everything that doesn't have a black space. So I've already done that for you. The number's already there. And then you would put your answer here in terms of an average. So your average is going to come somewhere between 1 and 5. Not likely that you're going to have a 1 or a 5 unless you scored 1s and 5s all the way down the line. Once we have that, we're going to look to see which of the numbers is the largest number. And then we're going to go up and look at the column and go C. C means authoritative. I put C there because that's the coaching method. And I didn't want to confuse it with the other letters. So A is for authoritarian, H is for helicopter, P is for passive, U is for uninvolved, and C would be the coaching style, if you will, which is really just the authoritative style. But again, I didn't want to use A because we already have an A, and I didn't want to use proactive guiding because we have a P for proactive. So I just put coach just to distinguish it from the other letters. But now that you know what they are, go ahead, take the time, don't overthink it too much. You don't have a little debate in your head. Well, whatever sort of comes up quickly, don't spend more than about 10 or 15 seconds on each one of these. Just whatever comes up quickly, answer it. Just be as truthful as you possibly can, because that's the only way we're going to actually get to help you out in terms of creating a plan in the future and all the things that we're going to be doing later in the course. Okay, so if you're lying about this, you're only sabotaging yourself and really the rest of this course. So be very honest. Also, if you have your parenting partner there with you, have them take the test, because later on we're going to compare notes, and you might as well go ahead and have them take this parenting style assessment test right away. Okay, I hope that clears things up, and happy testing, and I'll see you, or you'll see me, in the rest of the course.